what is the best option for people who believe that there's a warrant out for their arrest for missing a traffic court date, but they don't necessarily know which court it's in? They've just been either told that there's a warrant, or maybe they've even been told that their license is going to get suspended for missing court. How do you sort of find out, since the number one step is knowing which court you're in, how do you find that out?
Yeah, so in this situation, for Georgia drivers and for a lot of out-of-state drivers, now the DMV also, in most states, offers an online tool. So I've used it before. You can log in. Sometimes they have apps even, but you want to log in and they will show you active suspensions. And so if you have missed court, it's likely that your license has been suspended. And so if that is the case, then you would see the license suspension, and then you will also see the jurisdiction. It will show you the jurisdiction and the alleged incident date. Alleged. And sometimes they also list the citation number, but the main thing is the jurisdiction. So then once you get the jurisdiction from online DDS, you want to call that jurisdiction and see what's going on. Sometimes you can just pay it over the phone or online, but once you've got that jurisdiction, you have a really important piece of information in closing your case.
Yeah, you can start solving the problem once you know which court, because there's no otherwise universal solution for people to just go to the, bench warrant Department of Georgia. That doesn't exist. It's very court specific. It's issued by that specific judge in that specific court, and only that judge or that court can lift that warrant. So you really have to know that as the starting point. And I think it surprises people to find out that there isn't this more central database other than your criminal record, that you would have to go to the Department of Driver Services. But usually that's the safest place to go,
Yes.
Because of course, if you have a warrant for your arrest and you go to the police station, they're going to immediately arrest you on that warrant before you've had an opportunity to try to go to the court and solve the bench warrant without getting arrested. So that can be a tricky spot for people to be in. And so the DDS, going to DDS and finding out is great. Another important thing that comes up, because not everybody, when we say DDS, we should say what we're talking about, Department of Driver Services, which is Georgia's, commonly referred to DMV in other states. So Georgia has Department of Driver Services, but sometimes if you're an out-of-state driver and you have a California license, the Department of Driver Services is not going to be able to point you in the direction of where that court is. So when you're out of state, so for some of our California drivers, and I don't know why, California always comes up a lot, and they can be tricky to deal with. But so when you have this situation, you miss some kind of traffic court date in Georgia, and now you're getting a notice from California, say that they're going to suspend your license because you missed court. California will not tell you which court it was either. Then the notice that you get from California is just going to say you missed court in Georgia. And that's going to be frustrating, because you're going to be like, okay, well, let me call the place in Georgia where they're going to tell me where I missed court. And they're not going to have that information either. So what you need to remember is the people who hold the keys to this information, regardless of what state you're in, is going to be the driver's license department that's trying to suspend your license. The reason they're suspending your license is because they got a notice from whichever court you were supposed to be in. And so that notice is going to have the court's name. That court's name is not always going to make it onto the California printing your license suspension. So sometimes the frustrating thing that people have to do is call the California DMV and wait on hold for a very long time, in California, to talk to someone and say, hey, no, I need to know which court issued you this suspension, and they'll put you on hold. But that information is available. You just have to show up with patience and kindness to get that from them. But then once you get which court it is, well, now you're in great shape. You can either contact the court yourself, you can contact a lawyer, and you know which lawyer to hire because you know where the court is.
Right.
So that will all be so much more helpful when you solve that first question of which court issued this bench warrant. How can I start resolving it?
I've seen what the California database looks like, and it's like an old DOS record. Essentially, it looks like it was, my father was a DOS programmer, so I happen to be familiar with it, but it's obviously printed on carbon paper still, and it's very, very confusing, and sometimes it doesn't have the information you need anyway. So calling early in the morning, calling the California DMV is sometimes the only way you can do it. Whereas
Yeah.
here in Georgia, at least you can check online.
Yeah. And at least now you don't have to be surprised by how archaic seemingly this process is. But it's so frustrating to be stuck in it because you would expect it to be streamlined. And you think because it's so difficult and so clunky, you must be doing it wrong. And let us reassure you, you are doing it completely right. Remember to bring patience and kindness to all of those encounters, because that can go a long way when getting access to this information and getting it quickly.